All right, good morning or afternoon or evening or middle of the night, whatever time you are joining me. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate all of you joining. I appreciate the comments, and I'm looking forward to getting finished up on this painting and moving on to the winter scene I've got planned coming up because winter is coming. So let's get right down to it. Again, we're working in acrylics, and this is something I took a photograph, kind of merged some things together that I liked in the photograph, and now I just kind of put it together. You do what you want to do. I'm just kind of showing you how to go about getting these techniques applied to the canvas so that you come out with a cool looking still life of some sort. And what we're going to start off with today, finish this up because today's the day you go from one extreme to the other. So you want to put in any more darks that you want, and then we're going to come back and put on a little bit more color, and then the brights that make a painting look pretty cool. I was thinking about doing some little flowers in the background. I think I'm going to avoid that, avoid the distraction of it, and just kind of focus on getting the painting done and the highlights done on the painting. So let's get going. No sense in yakking too much. I know when I watch other artists paint and do the YouTube thing, too much yakking just bores me to death. So I won't bore you to death, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this black color I've got on my palette, and I'm going to come back. Again, it's thin. You don't want this thick now because you don't want to cover everything you've got done. So and I've got my number 4 flat Dynasty brush, and again I'm going to come back in areas that I see. Oh, my canvas is on the move. I'm going to come back into areas that I see have a lot of darkness in them, so I'm going to come back in and just kind of get up underneath. I see this pumpkin, it looks dark, and then this hay. Now see, that might be, well, I thought it might be a little too dark, but it's really not. So I'm just gonna get it put on here and then kind of feather it out. And you can still see some of that initial hay that I put down there. Yeah, that's about right. And this seems to me, this pumpkin area seems to me, I took away some of the darkness. So I'm gonna come back in here. I added some reflected blue highlight in here, and I'm not really too fond of it, so I'm just going to come back in and kind of darken that up. And then this kind of just feathers into that. See that? I like that. And I see a little bit more. I'm just going to add a little more water to my brush. I still have a little bit of that dark paint, but I don't want it too dark. So I'm going to come in and darken up some of these ribs or whatever. I still haven't figured out what they're called. A little bit there. We're going to add a stem. And I see a little bit of darkness right here. So I'm just going to kind of add that. There we go. A little bit more on my brush now. And I like this. I see some. Don't go too hog wild there, Rich. All right, we have some more dark down here. That's already pretty dark. Stupid camera. And then the back sides to some of these. Just get these back sides done. And dark to separate them. Dark does such a great job of separating. What is wrong with you? I might have to put a battery in it, I don't know. Try and use it without a battery, it doesn't work. Dark. Anywhere that's just dark shadow. So that dark is what makes that light. stand out so well. And there's a little right here. I can see that. Okay. And then get a little bit. A little bit more dark down here. Finger painting is the best. All right. And I am going to also come in, and on this band that's been driving me nuts, I want to put an edge. Just so it looks more dimensional. And then smear that up. And add a little bit more. Again, I apologize. I'm trying to stay out of the camera. Okay, a little bit of dark. That knot hole is dark, but now, let's see, sit back a little bit and take a look. All right. Like that part. Now I think I'm gonna put this aside, just get it wet, let it sit. And now so I've got some favorite brushes that are just so chewed up and worn, it's ridiculous. But I like them. So I'm going to use this brush. This is a Sable or a Bristle brush. I don't know what it was to start out. A number 4. That was probably that long, and that's how much I've worn it down. These you always want to get wet before you get paint on them. Let's just go ahead and try. Let's attempt to get some of the highlight I'm looking for on here. I'm going to come down to my palette of orange, which is still wet. And I am going to grab some gesso. Come right next to that. I want this tinted with a little bit of orange in my brush. And then I'm going to take a look at where I see this hot spot on this pumpkin. I'm going to dab and just get lighter and lighter with my dabbing. And smear and smear. And there it looks like a little bit more. Okay, you can start to just barely see. You know what, I'm gonna need to put in a stem for this pumpkin real quick. So I'm gonna take the black, a little bit of gesso. I'm going to make gray. I'm going to tint it with a little bit of burnt umber to make it brown. Kind of like so. And then I'm just going to come up here and make a pumpkin handle. Let's call it a pumpkin handle. And it looks like it's got a little bit more gray to it, so a little bit of that, touch of blue. The bluish gray plays a big part with the reflected light. So I'm just going to kind of streak that in here, not killing all the black. And then later I'll come back in and I can put the highlight on right now, it don't matter. With the same brush, that same little pile of orange and white that I had, get this flat. And I can see where the sunlight or whatever light source is hitting the pumpkin stem. Cool. And then we can come back in the center. I'm going to build this out just a little bit more. Kind of see what shape that light takes. You don't want to kill all the orange underneath this. Okay, we'll come back to that. We're not done yet, but I do see a little bit more of a linear line right here. So let's linear this thing up. Don't fade away on me there. And how high? This looks like it goes a touch higher. And the bright spot. Oh, I got the bright spot, I think, where I wanted on that one. Okay. Same thing. Come back to my bristle brush. Rinse that out. Squeeze the paint out. I've got this yellowish orange. You just get my brush loaded up, rinse it out, or squeeze the paint out of it. Grab some gesso. And same thing here. Hot spot looks like it's about right here. There. And I see a hot spot right there. Okay. Now I'm going to come down, probably going to use that same, either one of those piles will work, with just some color. You just don't want it pure white, not yet. I'm just going to take this mud. Let's see if I can make this work well. And get the paint on here relatively thick. Now, I'm gonna have to turn, here we go. This is kind of critical. You can see why the paint has to go on thick, right? And not a solid line. It can't be a solid line. If it's a solid line, it's just not going to look good. Here we go. Don't close that gap I had there. Get in here. My store-bought bucket's looking good and rustic now. And to me, this is the funnest part of painting. Just standing back and getting to the point where you're just adding this real bright color to pop. But you got to get all that darkness done first. Bucket, and I see a little bit there, so I'm gonna have to take my other brush, my Sable brush, and I see a real fine line right here. I don't want to smudge the two up too much, but there is a there we go. Just bring it up a little bit higher, just out of pure interest in what is that on the end of the bucket. Okay, happy with that. Come back here. Now, I think I'm going to jump in first and do some of this bluish, I'm going to intensify that bluish reflected cool light. So I need a slightly different brush. I'm going to come to my number 6, I believe, bristle brush. It's just a little bit, it's got more bristles left in it than that other one. I'm going to come down, grab some blue, ultramarine blue, touch of purple, and gesso. Let's see how that color looks. And this I don't want thick. I don't want thin. So I kind of want like warm butter. Let's see what this color looks like here. Yeah, see, I just wanted a little bit lighter than what I had before. And that's about it. Okay. And then this can get get lit up a little bit more. Nice draggy brush stroke so it looks like old wood. But you don't want to go too far on the side of the bucket. But to me that looks like, can you see kind of the radius I'm going for? What else do we have that has some of the bluish highlights? I see some speckled blue on the back side. I don't think that's right. I think my pepper was starting to go south. But let's go ahead and get some of that reflected blue light on the back side of this pepper. Yeah. And on this apple, I see a cool streak. And that might have to get brightened up a touch later. We'll see. Okay. The onion, I already got that on there, but I want to brighten that up a touch. So I'm going to come over here and just boom. Reflected light. And all the little grapes and stuff. Oops, I smeared that one the wrong way. And my canvas keeps moving. What's going on? Yeah, that's starting to take good form. And the green doesn't really require a lot. It's these darker ones that show the reflected light. There we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is going to jump back over to my flat number 4 Dynasty brush. Squeeze the paint out of there. Now I will get this just a touch looser, maybe a touch more blue in it. But I want this, because I see a lot of this in the hay, and I think it needs to be a touch brighter. And there we go. And not seeing a lot of that reflection down there. Okay. There. Okay. I think I'm going to jump down here while I got this on my brush. I'm going to jump down to the wood. A little more blue. touch of purple. And start highlighting this edge, or low lighting it. And you can see where I'm trying to get the roundness of this by using the grain in the wood is where the light's hitting from. So sharpening that up a little bit. Okay, now this big part here, trying to do this. This is where you could use a bigger brush too, but I'm just going to go ahead and stick with this for the moment. I think I can get it done with this. Gesso, blue, ultramarine blue, touch of purple, touch more gesso maybe, touch more blue maybe. There we go. Not too thin this time, not too thick though either. And if I can keep my hand, start where, and see how I'm just keeping them, the bristles, so it looks like you've got some wood grain. And let's try a different brush here, just to maybe help show what else you can do with old wood. I'm going to grab a number, what do I got, a number 8 bristle brush. Get some paint or some water worked in there. Now come down here. Wow, that really got, okay. Gesso, blue, purple, get this kind of loaded up. Squish the bristles out, fan them out. Some more paint. I'm adding more water as I go down. It's just getting a little bit soupier, so it becomes a little more translucent and doesn't overpower. This area right there is where I want it to be a little bit brighter. So I'm actually going to come in, grab some more messy white, touch of purple, squeeze that out. I'm going to need more gesso in that, I think, yeah. Squish that out. Come back here and just lightly wiggle. Yeah, that's better. All right, that's cool. Might even come down this side just to get that a little bit brighter. Okay. You know, that could come up a step lighter. I think I'll let it sit for just a minute before I do that. I'm going to come back and grab my little runt brush. This one that's chewed the daylights out of it. I'm just gonna come back in and pop in some more bright spots where I can, because I gotta come back and do it one more time. So let's take a quick look. Oh, you know what I didn't add in was the corn. Do I need to add in corn? I can. Let me grab a little bit of purple in this mix of mess. Grab a touch of yellow. A little more yellow. Touch of orange. Just a mess of color. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe I should take, that one's going to be a little fat. Let's see if I can take this number 4 Sable brush. Come in here, and can we make little kernels of corn? And you can't tell that that's what it is, but once you do this, grabbing my messy gesso. Okay. All right, jump back over to the yellow, which is not really a yellow pepper. It certainly looks more orange to me. Get some yellow in my brush. Thick, thick white. Let's see how this works, if I need to jump back to my bristle brush or if this will work. And yeah, the paint's a little too thin. Get the moisture out of my brush. Come back in here. And you can see now why, if you come in and you get it too bright off the get-go, where does that go? Right. That's kind of cool. And believe it or not, there's a little bit of light right there. That looks cool. And then the green apple. So load your brush with green. Come back to your gesso. Load that sucker up. And then we've got a hot spot. I'm not crazy about my apple, but you do yours better. How's that? I don't know how I can fix that, actually. Let's think about that for a sec. If I take that green and come back down here to this purple and green, let's see if I can scrub in some darkness on that. Because this was the color right here. I made that, I changed the color of the apple, but I'm going to take this little stubby brush here and I'm going to kind of, yeah, I'll kind of faux do this. Yeah, that at least defines it a little bit better and get some dark underneath here. Sometimes you just gotta make up what you're looking at. If it don't look right, you gotta kind of fix it to make it look right. That is your artistic license. So that's gonna have to work in order to get this painting done sometime this year. All right, I'm gonna come back, and now I'm gonna come back to my onion back there, which was this red and alizarin crimson. So alizarin crimson, cad red, just mixed up. Get the paint in my brush and then wipe the paint out Let me get this laid back down. And then grab some gesso, stick it next to that pile. And let's squish that around and then grab some. And where do we go from here? We are right. Yeah, we'll have to come back and touch that up with some highlight, but no worries. Yeah. And you know what? I actually just painted the wrong. Get off there. I meant to do the Funyun. Okay. Come back, start over, do it again, wipe that off. Easy enough just to dampen your brush. When the paint's cured, it'll come off real easily. I see. Yep, that's cool. And then we'll come back and put some super highlights on that. Okay. Now, since I have that same color, I think I'm going to pop over to these grapes. Each one of them is going to have a hot spot, and I'm looking at where they end up. Just tapping that. Okay. And since I got similar color, this one I don't like. Okay, that'll work. I'm going to add that purple here, which I did the same thing last time, it looks like. Grab some of that white, the gesso, that purple, and then come into each one of these. Now, I'm going to have to leave it, but it looks like I have a herd of eggs over here, but I'm going to leave it for now and just for the reasons of getting this painting accomplished and off of my to-do list. And then, yes, I will come back to the green grapes. Get some green in my brush. Get a little more gesso over here. Some paint put on thick. And then the same thing. Neat. Neat. Oh, I like this part. Wherever this guy, just the frizzy ends of the corn stalk are all lit up against that dark, looks really cool. Okay, and the green right here on the apple. Is greener now. I'm going to take a little more of that and try and fix this apple. I don't like it. Okay. Now I'm going to come back, clean that out a little bit. Find my red for the pepper and the apple will work here. Just got to get some red in the brush. Pile of gesso. A little bit of that red in my brush. Kind of get it on the end of that. And I am gonna, because my line's changed a little bit from what the picture shows me, but I'm gonna just, excuse me, put bright light there, and this has a bright light. Well, I can do a little bit more. Right there, right there. Yep, it's going to take one more hot spot foray. There's a little bit up in here. Okay. Now I want to get some highlight put on the wood. I'm going to come back to my number 4 flat Dynasty brush. I like orange, so let's take this mess right here, grab some orange, touch of orange, maybe a touch of yellow to brighten that a little bit. Grab some gesso. Yeah, that's a good color. This is too thick. We'll get some moisture in it. And I'm gonna flip my canvas. Yeah. Oh, it's going to require some more highlight. Now, and I'm going to make it look like there's a little bit of a cast shadow coming from being next to a table. Okay, good enough. And then there might be a little bit of light coming in right here. Make it look like there is anyway. Get this in there nice. And don't draw it off too far. Don't make it too heavy on the edge of the painting. Meaning over here, so that you don't want it to really pull your eye off the canvas. Intensify this a little bit more, and this a little bit more. And I'll come back one more time. I'm gonna have to flip my canvas here one more time. Sure. Yes. Okay. Okay. Good, good, good. Now I'm going to loosen this up just a little bit. Add a little bit more gesso to it. But I need this to be a little bit, I need to flow a little bit better here. Let's see if I can make this work. For now it is. A little bit in here. And I see. I'm going to seep these down by going over them a little bit so it doesn't look like they're floating on top of the hay. They have to be seated in the hay. Okay, a couple things I'm noticing is my red got it darkened up a lot. So how do we fix that? I'm going to come back down to pure red. I am going to grab some gesso. I don't want pink, but I definitely want this to be redder. So I will do this. And same thing on the red pepper. I'll add just a touch of alizarin crimson. A little bit more gesso. I'm actually going to take and do a touch of yellow in this too to maybe get that red pepper, different tonal value. I can come back in with that. Red's a tough color in acrylic for me. I don't know if I need a different choice of color. Brand I'm good with. Get that down there. Okay. Now I'm starting to putz. So one more thing I want to do before we put some final highlights on is I'm going to take my flat Dynasty brush and I am going to get some, do I want to do that or do I want to use a liner brush? Let's try. Take this, get some soupy black, gray, it doesn't need to be black, black. And I like some of these. I can see where I have some Okay. A little more black. I can still see some of my there we go. Get that a little bit darker and feather it out. And any more darkness I want to add. Okay, I like these weeds in front. And this is where it becomes tricky on a canvas board instead of a canvas panel, because it's hard to come directly up. So I'm going to come over here to this mess of alizarin crimson. I'm going to add a touch of vivid lime green, a touch of gesso, and we'll mix this up a little bit, but I'm going to use the same flat Dynasty brush. And let's see. Let's do that. And I will come over and grab one of my script brushes and grab some of my black in that same area. Oh, I'm losing my... Trying to pull the painting back in a little bit. Come back here, add a little more vivid lime green. Maybe a touch of this orange. And now this is just kind of like filler. Yeah, see, that's what ends up happening when I do that. But now, I'm going to come down here to this pile of green. I'm going to come and grab some yellow. Grab some gesso. Whoa, I got a lot of gesso. And just put some pods. Where the sunlight's hitting the pods. Okay, now I need to add some, I'm gonna go back to this purplish color. Get some in here. I have some that are going to be just sticking down here. back, grab some more of the brighter. And this is just something you just kind of go back and forth with. You know, so this is where you could start taking your time, get your brush loaded up, and if you were to pick out each one of these and put a little hot spot on them, when you stand back, it looks pretty cool. All right. I'm gonna keep this brush in my hand, my liner brush, for a minute, because I do want to come in, roll this in here. Let's see if I can make this work with the straw, because the straw is really bright on this edge. And it seems to me I can't get it thick enough with this brush. So we'll just come in here and add some. Yeah, I can't get enough on it. All right. Clean that out. Now, mixing up a pile of gesso, and I've got some other just color from my brush in here, but I got this on here thick. And let's come here and dab. There we go. I might add a touch of yellow to that. Woo! A lot of yellow. Right along the edge. And it's similar to what we put around the edge of the bucket, which might take another hit. And that's the hot spot. So I'll get the hot spot in there. Paint's got to be on thick here. Okay, looks like I got quite a bit of yellow, so I'm going to grab some more gesso. Thick, and I'm going to come over and do the edge. There we go. That looks cool. Thick on the brush. Yes. I'm going to do one more on this piece of, not this piece of, this, because I got it too white. I can see it here. I got to get that kind of covered up. A little bit right in here. All right. Now I think I'm just going to do one more. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot stems on everything. Okay. I'm going to grab this, my script brush, come down to that pile of, I had a pile of brown and black. I'm just going to grab this. This has a little nub stub coming up. Get that in. This has, I'm going to take this and do black, because it's already pretty dark back in the background. Just get that in there. Come back to my pile of goop. And we have a little stem in here. That stem I already did. Okay. Now grab this white with that brush, and you can see the side of that stem, and you can see some squiggly, if I can make that work. Okay. And a little, there we go. All right. Last thing I'm going to do, and then you guys are on your own to finish up and over detail. Again, like I said, sometimes flowers in the background look good. Try it. You can always paint over it. It's what I like about acrylic. What you can't paint over very easily is the thick paint. You might have to take and sand it down, but you can sand it down. Matter of fact, this whole painting is done over the crow that I did. All right, see how thick that paint is on there? Let's go. It's go time. There we go. I like it. Even you stupid apple, I don't like you, but okay, we gotta get it high lit. Thick, thick, thick. Very thick right there. Thick. thick right in here. And thick right here. And then right here on the apple. Maybe just a touch. Come up just a little. And then right in the center of our smudgy, thick. Well, I got too much on that one. It's all right. I'll flatten it out here in a sec. A little more gesso. See if I can get this. Anyway. And folks, I think I am going to call that one done. Again, I didn't hide anything from you. I painted this all without having painted it prior. I worked everything out that I could work out. Would I do something different? Yeah, if I was, see, here I go piddling around. That kind of makes it look brighter. Okay. Like I was saying, sorry, this is something that, you know, it was fun to paint, not something that I think would sell for me, but fun to paint, brush time, seat time, just getting behind paint brushes, colors, enjoying getting away, put your signature on it. I'll put a date on it because I have so many paintings I can't even remember when I paint them. So I'm just going to put a 2 and a 4. All right, you know what? That's it for me on this one. I appreciate you guys following along. I will start working on a new one, which is going to be a winter scene. I love painting winter scenes. They can be challenging, but they can also be super fun. So stay tuned for that one. Please subscribe. I really appreciate you. I'm really trying to get one painting done every month. And I'm doing all the painting, all the filming, all the editing. I'm doing everything on my own, which I don't mind. I love to do. And I sincerely hope that you enjoy doing this. Please leave me comments. Do you like it? Do you not like it? It's something I should do differently, something you want to see me do with acrylic. We do have some water-based oil, water miscible oil paints. I could do something in that. It's quite a bit different than this, but we can do all kinds of different things. So again, please subscribe. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time for a brand new painting. Thank you.